Hello, Trailblazers. Welcome to the Trailblazers Palette Podcast. I'm your host, Sancha Marshall. Today we're joined by Frederike, the creative force behind A Traveller of Worlds. Frederike is an artist, storyteller and adventurer who moved to the Norwegian countryside to embrace the magic of everyday moments. In this episode, we explore her journey, using sensitivity as a superpower, and her love for creating videos and growing a YouTube channel. Together, we discuss the beauty and hardships and embracing the synchronicity of your unique path. I'm excited to talk to you, Frederike. I came across you, I think, and I don't even know how long I've been following you on YouTube now, but maybe, starting out, if you can just tell us briefly about yourself and your YouTube channel.
Oh, well, I guess that's a challenge, talking about myself. Okay. Well, I started the YouTube channel, I think 3 years ago now. It started out as a thing where I moved to the countryside. So I moved quite far away from my family. I moved out of the city. It was a really big transition, like both mentally and like distance wise. And I miss my family. I thought, oh, maybe I should just film something so that I can show my family what I'm up to, so that they have a certain feeling of that they know what's going on. I don't know. And then as I started doing that, I realized how much I love using the camera and filming things, especially like beautiful naturey things. I did do some photography before. I've done just amateur wise, but I really love that. But I never had considered that I would love videography as well. And so, when I just thought I'm going to show my life to my family in the countryside, I just found this passion for filming beautiful things. And 4 years ago, I had made the decision that I wanted to learn how to draw. So this will intertwine in each other. I'm just starting at different places. But 4 years ago, I decided I wanted to learn how to draw because I had been working on, I thought I was going to be a writer my entire life. I was going to write fantasy books. And that was going to be my entire career and share these big worlds and, all these fantasy creatures and characters. And that was my being. That was what I loved. But then 4 years ago, I had my head so full of things, so full of ideas and imagination that I started to feel this itch of like, I need to get this out. Like, writing isn't enough. I want to get it out. So I decided I want to learn how to draw. And that is how I got like introduced to the love for art and painting. And, from drawing, I went to, my dad just one day took me to this art shop and he bought me this really cheap set of watercolors. And he said like, okay, you take this. See if you like it. And if you like it, we'll go buy something more expensive. Turns out I love watercolor. So, now I have all the real stuff. But all that was needed was this little palette of cheap watercolors. And so I slowly got introduced to this art world as well. And so 3 years ago we moved. I picked up the camera, found my love for that. And then as I started enjoying it more, I wanted to film more things. And so I started challenging myself with, I could draw a little bit in this video, or I could paint a little bit, and it all just found this beautiful unity somehow. Everything from the videography to the drawing to the arts. And I love redesigning furniture, and I feel like I've babbled a lot now. That's like a lot of words.
No, that's what we want to get to know you. So that's perfect.
Yeah, so here you have my entire life story.
and that's what I've seen on your YouTube channel. Like, I think that's why I connected with you, because you're like multi-passionate.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know. And I love that you see you painting furniture, and I didn't know about your writing as well. So that's kind of
that's something I haven't really talked about. But that was until 4 years ago, that was my entire world. So
and I love that because I love writing. I love like that creative writing.
Oh,
and
you do too?
Poetry, so I think coming
amazing.
up, I don't know if you've heard of a poet, Victoria Erickson.
The name sounds familiar, so I probably have read her work, but I can't really connect it to a person.
She's in the US, so I'm doing one of her. I've done a couple of her classes, and I'm doing a 10-week immersion with her starting next week. So I'm like so excited.
Oh, that's so cool!
I guess because I'd love to eventually like do a book with art and poetry together.
Beautiful. I love that combination, and just like imagining that you are both the creator, but because of the artist part, and you are the writer behind it. It's such a beautiful combination. I love that.
Having that sort of storytelling component of your art, but in poetry or
Yeah,
creative writing. It's not
yeah,
really poetry in
yeah.
the sense of rhyming, but yeah, I
Hmm.
love
Oh, that's
the two.
beautiful.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I like knowing that about you, Frederique. So like, what were you doing, I guess, in your world before you discovered art?
Well, I guess that will lead to a bit of like personal topics. I'm not sure how open, if that's okay
Yeah,
that I talk about it,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
yeah. So okay, I'm just throwing it in there. Like I said, I discovered writing, and I discovered that when I was about 8 years old or something. It was actually
Mm.
in my Norwegian class because I live in Norway. I went to school in Norway, and so when I was 8 years old in class, this teacher just one day came in and said like, oh, today we're going to do some creative writing. And that wasn't something that my mind had like thought about before, that you can write in a creative way. Because everything I've seen were these textbooks,
Yeah, yeah.
school textbooks, all these kind of boring things. So then she said, like, we're going to write and I'm going to put on a song. And this song is going to play for 30 minutes. And the only thing you guys are going to do, so us being the children, is you're going to write what comes to mind. Just find some beautiful words, try to put it together. And so we did. And I had this like epiphany moment of, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to write creatively to beautiful, beautiful music. And so I had that moment then when I was about 8 years old. After that, my life kind of took like a, how do you call it, downhill.
Mm, mm,
I started struggling heavily with mental, not disorders, I would say, but mental health wise, I really started struggling. I had a traumatic event when I was 9 years old, I think, and
mm.
it kind of spiraled me into this world of mental health issues where I didn't, how do you say it? I was really lonely with it. I had a
Yeah,
family who wanted to support, who wanted to help, but it was hard to find understanding from other people. So I walked around with it very much
yeah.
on my own. And so I was never really treated for the trauma thing. But because of the trauma thing, it
Mm,
ventured into the world of eating disorders, because this thing that problematic thing that was in my head, it needed to be translated into something. I needed to get this pain out. I needed to have control of something. And so it became the eating disorder, because that was something I could control.
yeah,
Food was something I could control. Exercise, I could control. My body weight, I could control. The pain I felt and the fear of life, because that was basically what it is when this traumatic thing happened, was that I got this immense fear of life. I got this realization at the very young age that life is very, very fragile, and I don't know if I can deal with it because it's scary. So yeah, this eating disorder thing became my way to cope with it, really, because I had to control something. I could not control life, so I controlled my food and all that kind of stuff. Eventually I got treatment for that, and I was hospitalized, and all these more icky things that happened because of it. The
mm,
sad part is that I ended up being treated for the eating disorder and not for the actual mental health, like the traumatic things that had happened. I was never treated for that, so I could never heal from it. I never got the opportunity to go through it and find my peace with it somehow.
yeah.
A couple of years later, I would say I started this whole mental thing started when I was 9, and then at 16 years old, I was sent out of the hospital, like, you're on your own now.
Mm,
Go figure it out, basically.
yeah.
So, my parents were stuck with me. Gosh, I was this horrible teenager, just being really stubborn and doing all the wrong things. And then I went to this training facility, and I met for the first time the person who's now my partner, whom
Yeah.
I've been
Mm,
with for 10 years.
mm,
I met him there. He was actually my boxing instructor. So, it was a bit like he was my boxing instructor. And just from that, we found each other, because he also
mm,
has had his life, is heavy stuff. And it
mm,
kind of connected us. But we had a moment in our lives where, to tell it short, I was put on kind of the knife's edge here. Like, if I want to keep living with this person, if I want this person in my life, if I want this love in my life, I have to say goodbye to the thing that has kept me alive for so long, or that has given me the feeling of control for so long, which was the eating disorder thing, because it was the only friend I had. That is what it felt like.
mm, mm.
But it came to the point where, like, okay, I have to either choose my partner or I have to choose the eating disorder, because I cannot, if I keep bringing the eating disorder into my relationship, it's going to fall apart, and it's not fair to him. This is not going to work. And so I was lucky regarding the eating disorder thing that I got an ultimatum. like I have to choose. And so many girls, they don't have that because you just keep on living with it. And you just have to be lucky to find something that becomes more valuable to you than the eating disorder. That's really hard. And the longer you live with this stuff, the harder it gets. And I think that counts for all mental health stuff. Like the longer it stays in there and you just kind of grind in it, the harder it is to get out. So I see myself very lucky for meeting my partner because I chose him, obviously, because here I am. That wasn't the end, of course, but it was just me making the decision that I choose this relationship, I choose this life. That means I have to step up for myself and start treating myself more healthily and all that kind of stuff. All the while, like I had the eating disorder, and the writing for me through all these years was this like I romanticized this life of just up until I was with him. I romanticized this life of being an author, just living in my like English cottage and just being on my own and drinking tea and just, hiding away from the world and writing all my, everything. It just happened on paper, and I didn't want to deal with the rest of the world. That was my dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm coming from. And then also when I met him, I managed to write my first couple of drafts, and I gradually found meaning in life that wasn't related to mental health struggles. I found things I wanted to live for. I found things that were more important to me than drowning myself in pain and misery and self-pity and all these kind of things. So yeah, writing translated 4 years ago into I wanted to start drawing these things, and then the video, and it just all kind of flowed into one beautiful time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Frederike. I'm a little teary at your journey, like
Oh,
hearing.
really? Sorry, I'm like
No, not it's not bad at all. Just I think that just I can connect with you on not all of what you've said, but the mental health stuff. I think that that's something that I feel really deeply, and it's tough. Like
it is.
and yeah, carrying. I think mine was about 9 years old
Mm-hmm.
when traumatic stuff happened in my family, and that translated to in a way a similar thing, but my family called it stitch checking. Like it was OCD. I know
Oh, right.
now.
Yeah.
Like obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was my way of controlling something that.
Right. Something that was graspable because
Yes.
that is all you kind of need. But the sad part is that you start grasping the wrong things. But as a child, you don't know that. You just want to cope. You just want to be able to deal with life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really vulnerable and brave of you that you shared that journey.
Oh.
And that thank you for sharing it.
Well, thank you for allowing me to have a space where I can share it and where it is accepted, because not everywhere that is like the topics that you can talk about. And I also know that one has sometimes to be careful to say those things because trauma dumping is really a thing. So if you go too into detail on a person who's not prepared, you can actually cause damage to the person you're talking to.
Yeah, true.
But that's not the case here. But like that was just a thought that popped up in my head.
Yes.
But
I
I'm really happy
understand.
that you allow me to talk about it, and it's a comfort in a weird way to know that you connect to it as well. Just this feeling of not being alone, and that I think also through this whole weird enough YouTube internet journey, I have had so many epiphanies of that I am not alone, and that there are so many people on this healing journey, and that there are so many beautiful people to connect with and unite with, and talk to, and like I've always been everything I've heard about the internet, because I was not an internet person until I actually started this YouTube thing. But I've always heard like the internet is a dangerous place, and there are just a lot of weird people, and people are outside, and trolls, and this entire thing. And yeah, sure, they exist, absolutely, but that doesn't take away from the fact that there are so many beautiful people out there, and the internet is a wonderful place to be able to connect. And
and I think you've done that so beautifully well on your channel, because I have to say that I love that you are so down to earth and that you're very genuine, and it just and yes, you have very beautiful imagery, and I hope that your channel grows and is all you want, or you hope it to become, because I love watching you, and seeing your journey through that.
Thank you. That means so much. That really means so much.
And I think I've just joined your Discord channel as well, which
Yeah, yeah, you did.
I'm not completely up on Discord, but I'm getting better. My kids are better than me because they use it all the
All
time.
right. Yeah. Well, I can highly recommend popping in because there are just a lot of
Yeah.
lovely people over there, and this is actually the Discord group was the thing that an idea that popped up in my mind like over a year ago. But at that
Mm.
time, I didn't have the courage to reach out to people or to
Yeah.
talk to people. I was really shy and very introverted. Now I
Mm.
realize that I just need the right people around me, and I'm totally fine. You know, that
I
was
love
a
that.
nice thing to realize. Yeah.
So that gives me hope, Frederick, because I still feel like I haven't really found my people. I think doing this podcast and that has really, like you were saying before, I feel not quite so alone in my weirdness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that is what it is
Yeah.
like. Call it a weirdness or just call it you being unique. I
Yes.
love the thought of me being weird because it means I'm unique in my own way.
Yeah.
It means I am my own character. I am my own person.
Yeah.
Be it weird, I am myself. And that
Mm,
is a really
mm,
freeing thought. But yeah, like about the Discord group, it's like I really want to connect people like us, people like you, the people who are in there right now. Like we just want
mm.
to welcome you and give you a big hug and please join us. We just want to chat about art and healing and life and all the things that connects us as humans.
And so with your journey with art, Frederick, like
Hmm?
you said that happened that started sort of 3 years ago. And I watched, I think, your live on it was a replay because it was
Mm-hmm.
quite early in the morning
Yeah,
here. We were
yeah. I
saying
was
about
listening again. Yeah,
Australia is in some
yeah.
crazy time zone of its own.
Mm-hmm.
But you're really good at drawing and on the spot,
Oh,
and
thank you.
doing your Pomodoro timers that you were
Yeah,
doing. So,
yeah.
how have you found your journey with progressing with art, and how do you find like your creativity and sharing that?
I think like my head is stuffed with ideas.
Mm,
And I got really annoyed that I didn't have the skills to translate it into something visual. And so that annoyance of not being able to translate it just kind of kicked me in the butt to say, okay, we're going to do this course and we're going to learn here. We're going to watch this YouTube video and just try to consume all the information as much as possible so that I can, as quickly as possible, improve my skills so that I don't
mm.
feel limited by my own hands,
Yes.
basically. Now I've also realized because I started something that I call the secret project, which is about making a whole bunch of art pieces, like furniture pieces, photography, oil paintings, watercolor paintings, which I'm going to create for something bigger,
Mm,
or like a plan in the future. First of all, to motivate me to actually make the art, because I can definitely be in a place where I get scared. I get scared because I feel like I don't have the ability to create the piece that I want to create. Like it's this elaborate thing in my head, and then I
mm.
get scared that my hands can't put it to life. Put it to life.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Totally get
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So the last 3-4 years, I've been obsessed with trying to learn things, but now
Yeah.
I really want to shift my focus to okay, I'm going to try to make my art first, and then the skills will follow because I wanted to create art to get this out. And if I keep being afraid of my own hands, that I don't have the skills, I keep being afraid of making mistakes and stuff like that, I'm never actually going to make the art that I want to make. So
Yeah.
now I just have to, I have to push myself. I'm going to make the art. And if there are mistakes in it, if there are flaws, whatever you call it, happy accidents, these kind of things,
Yeah.
it's a part of the painting and it's a part of the process. So I want this secret project to be like, it documents my art journey
Mm.
through a couple of years and all the flaws or the mistakes that I don't really like that word, but all these kind of things that are in there, they are as much a part of the painting as the things that I've done right.
Mm.
And it's what makes the whole thing a whole. And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to put that mindset in my work now. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the little ego wants to, yeah, always been a very self-destructive thinker, not having confidence, being a
Yeah.
people pleaser, doing all these kind of things that kind of messes me up. And I'm
Mm.
done with it. I'm so sick of it. And that's why I need to push myself. I just want to be me. I just want to hang out with cool people, create art and share my love and hug people and just have a good time. And yes, life is really hard.
Mm.
That is a big struggle. I find life such a paradoxical, it's not the word, but like a paradox thing where it can be so immensely beautiful and it can be utterly, utterly heartbreaking. And
Mm.
finding that balance of enjoying my life whilst accepting the pain that it will cause me, because I know that it will come. I will lose my parents. I will lose somebody. Something will happen. God knows what. It will. It's just inevitable. But trying to, yeah, like I said, find the balance of still enjoying my life, still seeing the beautiful things, and not let the pain ruin how I live and how I feel. Yeah, it will probably be like an everlasting journey, but it's a very specific journey that I put myself on because I want to live my life. I want to live it beautifully. I want to encourage others to do the same. And that's where we're at.
No, you said that so beautifully, Frederike. I think that, I think some people would spend a lifetime trying to, gain that wisdom that you have found. And I think that as artists, we do have that, don't we? We have that, sort of nearly torturous sensitivity
Yeah. I think
to
that's what it is.
everything,
Yeah,
to
sensitivity.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, that we see the beauty in things, but also the pain, and it is
yeah,
living with that
yeah,
uncertainty that can be so difficult. Because I even think of the deaths of my grandparents and tough
yeah,
stuff that you go through
yeah,
that you think that is an end for everybody.
yeah, really. Yeah,
That we aren't immortal or
yeah,
something.
exactly.
That
Like,
thought has always been in the back of my mind. And I know
yeah,
people who, when I was younger, said to me, "You seem, so old for someone
yeah,
who's
yeah,
young."
yeah. Me too. Yeah, like, yeah.
And I'm like, I've always thought kind of 20 years ahead or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, but it's just this realization of knowing that, yeah, well, I in a weird sense want to I choose to believe that somehow we are eternal,
Yeah.
that we live forever. Definitely, I have a spiritual side to myself that
Yeah.
kind of chooses to believe that death is not the end. But it is something that happens in this reality that we are in now. Like what we're here,
Mm.
we see people pass, and that's just something that happens. And it doesn't matter how much I believe that life goes on somewhere else or in a different way. It doesn't take away from the pain when it happens here. And I think when you come to that realization, especially at a young age, it does make you older because it
Yes.
gives you a perspective on life that perhaps not everyone has, because you see
Mm.
the consequences of what you do, and you see the consequences of what other people do,
Mm.
and you see the potential outcomes of actions, and it becomes this.
And sometimes people around you don't see that, do
Yeah,
they?
no, that is the painful part. I luckily live with a partner who's very much like that himself. We always consider the consequences of our actions. We always like look for the outcome of, okay, if I do this, if I do that, like it's not always a good thing either, because
Mm.
it can really restrict you in many ways, and it
Yeah.
is it's a lot of fuel for anxiety because you get
Mm.
too afraid to do things, and that is also,
Absolutely.
yeah, and
I had someone say to me, I was coaching and with them, and they said to me, "You've just got to, jump and build your wings on the way down." And I'm like, No, I can't do that.
yeah, no,
I've got to build my wings first and know that when I jump, I'm not going to like crash and
yeah,
die.
like plummet down, yeah,
I'm
let's
like,
check
no.
our wings first and then see.
I'm like, so
Definitely.
that analogy kind of just, yeah,
It didn't really work. No, I
yeah,
wouldn't really have resonated with it either. Like, I'd like to know that I have something to hold me afloat for at least a
yeah.
little bit before I crash. Yeah,
Just like that safety net or something.
yeah,
Mm.
definitely. It's
Yeah,
important to have, but again, it's all about the balance thing. The balance
yeah,
of seeing the beauty of life and the balance of acknowledging the pain, but also the balance of seeing the consequences, perhaps preparing for what could go wrong, but also not do it to the extent that your whole life is restricted because of it.
yeah.
And that is also a balance. And there's so many balances I need to find. But I think, like I say to others too, is like, if you at least are a little bit aware of yourself and how your brain works,
Yeah,
self-awareness, it's a really good start. Because then
absolutely.
you have something to work with, you have something to
Yeah,
process, you have something to, yeah, you know what I mean.
yeah,
And
yeah, very true. And I completely understand. I think that it's a lovely path to kind of know yourself and be able to still operate in the world, but it's difficult too to when you have, anxiety and things like that, push past that. So
yeah,
I
it
enjoy
is.
hearing how you and others too, like, and sort of what you were talking about with
Mhm,
pushing yourself with your art to be able
mhm.
to create what is in your mind. That's a frustration I think even really talented, skilled artists have.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's been really comforting to know that even, people who I see as super talented, who I
yeah,
think they could draw or anything, still have that thought.
yeah.
So I'm like, oh,
It's
okay, so
almost,
I'll just live with
yeah.
it.
It's like it is. It's the fear of the blank page, kind of
Yeah.
like when you see this white canvas in front of you, and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get this in my head to something
Mm.
visual on there? It seems like an impossible task, no matter how skilled you are. And then you just
Yeah.
need to get started and be a little loose and have a little fun, and it's all fine. But that,
Yeah.
to some people, that is staring at the blank page, that time that you stare at the blank page can be a little longer for some than
Yeah.
others. I'm definitely one of those who stares at the blank page for a very long time before I actually put anything on it. Um, Also something I need to work with. But yeah, can I ask you? I'm not the host here, but can I ask you something?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How did you, because you say you have a little bit of, you've had your mental health issues throughout your life,
Mm.
and how did you cope? How did you get through it? How did you get where you are today and through your art? Like, what does your journey look like? I'm curious.
I think that it's still a journey, and I think that
Yeah,
that's like I had someone say to me once about like anxiety and that they said, "Oh, so you are you done with that now?" Like it
yeah,
was kind of an annoyance that is that
yeah,
gone,
yeah,
and that was why I was always afraid to share it until I
yeah.
was sort of doing this podcast and I sort
Hmm.
of broached on that topic with other people. But like I said, it had been with me since I was 9 years old,
Yeah.
and that looked like for me, I guess, just generalized anxiety and what I now know as obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
I didn't know just how much until actually this year, how much that obsessive compulsive disorder infiltrated every area of my life. Like
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
just like when you were talking about the eating disorders, it wasn't
Hmm.
until I was actually talking to a doctor last year that they just said, because I would tend to, follow trends, or like I was
Yeah.
vegan for a while, or
Hmm.
last year I went carnivore. Those diets, whilst can be good in some ways, maybe for
Hmm.
somebody like me, I have to be careful because I can be so obsessive, and that gave me control.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
sort of was an
So it kind
outlet
of
for,
sneaks its way into different aspects of
yeah,
your life because something in the back of your mind still has that desire to
yeah.
control things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't until a doctor sort of said to me,
Mhm.
maybe just for you be a bit more relaxed about food and things, that I went, oh, I'd never seen it in that light before,
Yeah.
I guess,
Mhm.
because it was always seen by other people as, oh, I'm just really healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
care about what I eat, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But and I still struggle with that. Frederika, I think it's been just gaining knowledge, and that's
Yeah.
through different practitioners, because I've tried so many different things from
Mhm.
acupuncture, homeopathy,
Yeah.
hypnotherapy. Last year I worked with a human givens therapist.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Um, and I found that really helpful because it wasn't so much about reliving past events. It was like taking where I guess your needs are lacking,
Right. Oh, I love that.
working out how you can, I guess, meet those, because they might look at community and then your personal life and how you're feeling fulfilled there, and it kind of covers all different things, and it was a combination of hypnotherapy as well.
Yeah.
And then this year I'm working on the OCD separately through
Mhm.
a course, because I found that was still niggly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd always found that obsessive part of me really good with art, because it meant I could
That's
channel it
interesting. Yeah.
into something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good way to look at it or not, but it means that I've kind of like, okay, maybe I've kind of got this superpower.
Yeah. 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 But I love thinking about creativity as superpowers. So by all means.
Yeah, that I have this anxiety, okay, and that
Mhm.
can look like anxiety in my life, or it can look like, I'm just extra sensitive, I guess, and I
Yeah.
feel things, and it is very much about keeping a balance,
Yeah.
because if it
Mhm.
goes too far, I can tend to disconnect
Yeah.
and my creativity just dies, and then
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
to do any art.
Relate. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we homeschool 3 kids too, so it's just
Oh,
this
that's amazing.
this
Oh, that's
balance
amazing.
of everything.
Yeah.
And in
It
my
sounds
mind,
like
I'm like,
fun.
I see all the normal people going about life, and I'm like, "Why
Yeah.
can't I be like that? Why can't I do that?" But I'm just
Oh
not.
God. Yeah. 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 I know what you mean. Don't
Just
worry.
not like that. And for so long, I beat myself up that I'm like, "But why can't I do that? Why can't I handle that?" And I
Yeah.
would just be like, "I just wanna be normal."
Yeah. Yeah. Me
Uh,
too.
my whole life, I just wanted to be normal, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And like what you were saying before, I'm always slow on the uptake with things. I'm always like, why can't I like be quicker? And
Mhm.
why can't I like business and I like psychology and all that. And I was
Yeah.
actually listening to, I think it was Alex Hormozy on YouTube. I only followed him honestly for about a week. I found him too much of that hustle culture.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I like the
Well,
idea that maybe somewhere there's a fantasy Sancha that could like be like that.
yeah, yeah. Love that.
So
Yeah,
it's like I still have kept some like work clothes from my corporate life, whereas like one day, we have fantasy selves. Anyway,
yeah,
I have
yeah,
a
yeah,
where and he's like, the top 1% of millionaires, they the one difference is that they implement really, really fast.
yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm stuffed then, aren't I?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not gonna happen. No, not for me. No, but I think like it's an illusion that well, yes, there are people who like can learn real quick. They get things
Mm.
real quick. They do this and
Yes,
this and that.
yes.
They have the perfect calendars. They're perfect schedules. They get everything done within time. But then when I see those people, I ask myself, well, what's your life then? Like what? When I think about life, I think about all the good experience I want to have with loved ones, creative wise, seeing in nature, just existing and
Mm.
breathing and living in the beauty of just being here, just being me and not worry about these things. And when I see these people hustling around, I'm like, well, but how do you have time for that then? Like life
Mm.
becomes this that kind of autopilot to
Yes.
achieve things. They always have future goals. Okay, when I do this, I'm going to earn this much money. I'm going to be this successful. I'm going to get this degree. And yes, people can thrive on that, which is great. If it's for them, it's for them. But I think
Yeah.
I start questioning how do you have space to live
Yeah.
if you are the hustle kind of person. But maybe that's not important to those people. But also I resonate so much with you seeing like I'm always behind, like I wish I could
Yes.
consume more. I wish I could learn faster. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. And all of that I feel is a self-sabotaging, self-destructive place to be in. It is my ego
Mm.
just from my past still trying to kicking my ass, showing me that I'm not good enough the way that I am. If I think these thoughts, it is something in my subconscious just not being okay with being me. So when I hear this in my head now, I'm like, no, you shut up. Because I have decided that I'm good enough and I'm going to love myself no matter what. And, yes, it's a hard road. And
Yeah.
yes, these intrusive thoughts, they show up and they will make me miserable at days. I call them, for me, they're called nothing days, where
Mm.
I'm just completely out of it. I literally feel frozen with anything. I can't do my dishes. I hardly can eat. I cannot create art. And those days still happen. They're definitely like decreasing in frequency, but it still happens. And I'm just trying so hard right now to just accept where I am, because I know that if I don't accept where I am right now, how can I ever build myself up to become the person I one day wish to be if I can't be okay with just not doing all the things now? I hope any of this made sense. It's like
Yeah, it
become
does, Frederike. Yeah. You say things so beautifully and so
oh,
articulately. I
it doesn't
think
feel
that
that way.
being able to voice that internal world, I think you
Yeah.
do that. That's so lovely.
Oh, well, I'm happy that, that is understandable what I'm saying. And like, I also, I'm at a place where I so desperately want to love myself now. I'm not saying that I do, like, those are two very
Mm.
different things. So rather than focusing on the love part, I am trying to more see it as I'm trying to respect myself more.
Yeah.
What if I were to talk to my future daughter now, or a sister I don't have? How would I talk to them? Like, how would I talk to you? I would say, like, please breathe, give yourself time. You've had your life so far. It's been hard, it's been ups and downs. Please just take a break.
Mm.
Allow yourself to take things slow and just try to find things that bring you peace and bring you joy, because those good feelings, first of all, are your birthright. We are
Mm.
born with the right to feel happy, to feel loved, to feel comforted. We're also born with the right to be respected. And how are we ever going to be respected by the outside world if we can't even respect ourselves? And so
Mm.
I think like loving ourselves is the part that comes after that, but I definitely see respect as the most important word for me too, because if I respect myself, then I eat well, then I treat my body well, then I don't let people screw me over, then I take my breaks and I take my time and I don't put any pressure on myself. That is respecting me now, because I'm still healing from all these years of crap.
Mm.
And that it takes time to be able to move forward. You can't just, yeah, you can say, okay, today I'm going to start healing. Great, that's a good ambition, but that doesn't mean that from one day to the other you've gotten rid of all your eating disorders and your
Yeah.
trauma and your anxiety or your depression. No, this is when it starts. And
Mm.
this journey might take a year, might take 3 years, it might take your entire lifetime. And it's important that we acknowledge that within ourselves and actually take our times to do that. Because I always felt so guilty for prioritizing myself, like
Mm.
allowing myself to feel good, allowing myself to do things that bring me peace or make
Yeah.
me feel comfortable. I don't feel like I deserve it because I've never contributed in life. I don't have
Mm.
my degrees. Oh yeah, I have gone to school, but I've fallen out of it when I was like 12 years old or something. I don't have any academical knowledge. I'm a stupid person for that matter. And so I have never done anything. I haven't worked. I live on welfare. It's really shameful to say. I'm
Mhm.
everything society doesn't want me to be.
Yeah.
And it puts such a heavy picture. That is something that I've struggled so much with. This picture of myself of, gosh, I'm nothing because I haven't done what society wants me to do. So I don't have a right to be here. And that is it's been such a heavy feeling for so long. I'm finally
Yeah,
at a
it would
place
be. It
where,
would be a heavy
yeah,
burden.
yeah, and like
Mm.
I'm finally at a place where I can acknowledge that this is not truth.
Mm.
I'm fully righteous to be here as everybody else. But like coping with that thought is really hard. And now just finding my place in this world where, yes, I'm finally getting healthier in the way that I feel this desire to contribute. I do want to contribute to society. I do want to make the world a better place, even if it's just like, if making the world a better place looks like cheering two people up in a day. That is
Mm.
for me, contributing to the world. And so now that I'm again accepting and respecting myself, I feel this new part of me opening up for the possibilities. If I move into the future with this ground foundation of love and respect towards myself, it will blossom onto
Mm.
and ripple onto absolutely everything else around me. And I want nothing else for other people to feel the same, to feel
Mm.
respected, to feel loved, to be honored for what they do. I want them to be excited. I want to do what they love. I want them to prioritize the things that bring them joy because it's their birthright once again. And the only way for me to kind of spread that message is if I start within myself.
And who better to do that than you too, because you've felt that so deeply. You understand that path, and I think that is so key. Is that we see successful people, we hear successful people. What
Hmm.
what is deemed culturally as successful. And
Yeah,
that's part of the reason I wanted to do this podcast, because I want to talk to all these amazing people and artists that
yeah.
I know that voice isn't a norm, I guess. I want to make it more of a norm to talk about
I
these
love that you
things.
do that. And that
Yeah.
is why I was so excited when you asked me, because I read your description and you're like completely merged with my ideal of how I want to live my life and move forward. I was like, gosh, yay! I found another person who want to live like this. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think like that is also, it's so amazing because that is what YouTube has taught me, or like the internet has taught me, that all these things that I talk about now, I felt so lonely with them because I've never had anyone to talk about them to,
Yeah, yeah.
have a conversation like this. It's
How amazing.
gold. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the fun
Yeah.
part is there are so many more people out there whom you can have these kind of conversations with.
Yes.
We just need to find them. But
Yeah.
they are out there and the internet allows us to do that. And
Yeah.
I just found that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
And I for someone who's had such a like a love-hate relationship with things like Instagram and stuff
Yeah.
like
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
that. I'm
Oh
glad
my God.
I I got rid of it for about 8 months at the end of last year, and
Yeah.
that was very freeing, but I did keep YouTube. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was my vice, that I could still like watch my YouTubes, because I can,
Mhm.
I had some lovely channels like yours also that I'm watching, and I
Yeah, but
know
like YouTube is different. Like it's a place
it
I will
is, yes.
admit that like I don't consume any internet at the moment other than like talking
Right.
to you. Now the Discord group, just hanging out with lovely people, it brings me
Yeah.
energy. Being on Instagram, sometimes I post something and like we connected over Instagram, so now I love
Yeah.
that for that reason. But yeah, other than posting videos myself, I kind of take a step back for it just because it's an overwhelming place. Like most of
Okay,
the
yeah.
content and things that you see is like, oh no, please, my brain is exploding. I'm shutting my eyes and I'm running the opposite direction.
Yeah.
It all has its pros and its cons, but I have to
Yes.
say that I'm really positively surprised after this YouTube journey. It has shown me, how do you call it? The perception I had of people before, the perception I had of the rest of the world. I put everyone in one box, like
Yeah.
everyone. are these materialistic people who don't care or love or do anything. They're just they're just going on their autopilot and moving forward. And that is not the case. And that was a really important thing for me to realize, that how many humans, like literally humans with feelings and creative thoughts and a love for people, how many of them are still out there. And I just have to say, I'm still a small channel, and the group is small, everything is small, which is fine. I need time to adjust to the size of things. But I'm excited to meet all these future people I haven't met yet, and to connect over conversations like this. It's just truly, yeah, it makes me excited. And it's so weird to see how 5 years ago, where I was and my perception of the world, and where I am now. If I'd seen myself like 5 years ago in the podcast that I'm in now, like, who is this person?
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
this little weird, excited, overly chaotic person talking? That is not me.
Oh, that's fun, Frederike.
So
I was going to ask you your YouTube channel. Okay, because the thought of that to me is scary. Like, even to kind of go, like, I'm putting my podcast onto YouTube, which isn't kind
I'm
of anything.
scared.
It
I don't know
just
how you
does
do
just does it. Yeah.
it.
I'm like, so you've done it over years. Like, how has that journey been? Like, how have you known what to video and how much of yourself to share or not share? And as your audience has grown, like, has there been negatives?
Well, it definitely didn't start out that way. Like, it didn't
Yeah.
start out as it started out as something I wanted to show my parents how I'm living. Like, I need
Yeah.
to show
Yeah.
you
Which,
that I'm baking bread and I'm writing my book, and
mm,
the horribly boring videos, because I didn't dare to talk or anything.
yeah.
I did find beautiful music. I'll give myself credit for that. I'm good at finding beautiful music. So, but it started out like me not talking, me not really knowing how to use a camera, how to use like the frame rates and the apertures and all these kind of fancy words that when you're doing cinematography, you should know these words to level up your game. I didn't know any of that. I didn't talk. And funny enough, I got a little bit swept the first year. I got swept up in that. I thought the only way to grow, because it looked like that, the only way to grow on YouTube is if you comment on a lot of other people's videos, and you
Mm.
have to interact with a whole lot of random people.
Yeah, and it seems to be no matter what platform, there's the formula that
Yeah,
everyone says to follow, and that's what I'd wondered what your
yeah.
journey had
Well, I
been for
realized that was,
you.
yeah, no, that was, I should never, well, kind of, I should never have done that. But funny enough, for me, it was a good thing, because by forcing myself to do that, I started talking to a lot of lovely people. And it gave
Mm,
me this epiphany of, oh, lovely people are out there. But like overall, doing that is exhausting. It is
mm,
time consuming, commenting on all these videos, watching all these videos, then also creating your own videos. And then you end up getting a gazillion comments on your own video from people who don't really care what you're actually doing, but it's
yeah,
like this tray, like, okay, I comment on you, and then you comment here and give me a like, and all these kind of things. I
yeah,
really hated that, but I didn't think I could grow naturally, because I didn't think, I didn't think I had it in me. Wasn't interesting enough. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to
mm.
make good videos. So the only way for me to get a couple of subscribers was just kind of begging for people to come to my channel.
Isn't that what it all feels like? Yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of. And it's embarrassing to think about now. But once again, it gave me the epiphany of, I did end up talking to a lot of lovely people that way.
Yeah.
So that was a bonus. So I did that for a year. Then I get utterly sick of it, and I just quit. Of course, my views instantly dropped. Didn't get
Mm,
any more subscribers. I think I was at 300 or something at the time.
mm,
And yeah, it just didn't go well. And then I kind of just took a break. It was always a long time between each video. I didn't really know what to film or what to do, but I did feel this desire of, I do want to do this, because I love using the camera, I love filming things, I love creating videos. So I started looking a little bit into like, what do people do to get successful YouTube channels? There are recipes and things, blah blah blah. So I looked into that, and I think this thing that people talk about is niche. You need to have a niche, like
mm.
this one thing that gives people a reason to come back, because your channel is about this thing. Problematic is when you are a multi-potentialite, or I love the word a friend said a couple of weeks ago, Renaissance soul, because in the Renaissance time, people were
Oh,
very
yeah.
free thinkers and blah, 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 blah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like a Renaissance soul. I like the word. But where was I? Oh yeah, that I couldn't find a niche, because I was like, I love all these things. How on
Mm.
earth do I combine them in one place? Like one day I'm doing photography, and the next time I'm, writing a book, and then I'm painting a painting in the woods, and like, how am I going to connect people?
It's funny that isn't, and that's what I loved about you though, because I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I paint furniture, and I love that she's painting furniture, and she's doing all
yeah.
these different things.
Yeah. And it's also really
Yeah,
fun to see, like, you think that, well, there's a reason why the word multi-potentialite exists, because
yeah,
obviously there are a lot more people like that out there. But when you go
mm,
on the social media, it's very much like one way to think
mm.
about things, and you cannot deviate from it, because then you're going to attract the wrong followers and God
Or,
knows
or
what.
or you'll confuse people, and they won't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. And they
I'm like, I'm sure
unsubscribe,
people are
and
smarter than
yeah.
that.
Yeah, 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 we it's also, I think, really easy to forget that when you are on YouTube, there are actually people watching. It's not the algorithm. Yes, the
Yes.
algorithm does things for you, but ultimately you want to reach people and not
Yeah.
the computer stuff. And that is definitely a mind shift that I made, that I want to connect to people. I'm not thinking about the
Mm.
algorithm. But where was I? Oh yeah, yeah. And so there was a long time between the videos, still didn't talk in them, blah blah blah. But I was getting settled into my countryside home, and I was, really ending up in this. I was starting to see how I lived my life and how I treated myself, and I was getting really fed up with it. I was so mentally tired after so many years of being mean to myself and mistreating myself and being in a shitty place, and I was just getting really, really sick of it. I wanted more. And I started seeing, like, I want more for my partner. I want more for everyone around me. Like, but how on earth am I gonna give them more and be more? And how can I love more if I even can't accept what I see in the mirror? And so, when was this? I think it's 2024. Yeah, I would say summer of 2023.
Mm.
I lost my grandma. My partner was going through a lot of family shitty stuff, people who weren't okay. And it was all a really bad place to be in. And I was like, you know what? I'm having enough. I've existed for so long just swimming in this crap. I don't want to be here anymore. And so I guess I just, yeah, the work that therapists and stuff like that should perhaps do when you are in these situations is like that you start analyzing the person that you're talking to and figuring out what is actually the core problem of all of this. Like, yes, you have all these symptoms. Yes, there are all these things happening and you're dealing with all these kind of things, but what is the underlying core thing that kind of bleeds into all of this and makes this happen? And so I kind of started self-therapizing myself.
Yeah, as we
Trying to
do.
read self-help books, and you're trying to figure out,
Absolutely.
going on? Why
Yeah.
am I like this? My life is seemingly pretty fine. I have everything I could ever dream
Yes.
of. My countryside home. I have my art stuff. I
Yep.
am introverted. I don't talk to a lot of people, but I have my partner, my puppies, and this is good. And I can't feel it. I am not happy. I am miserable within my
Mm.
own vessel. And so just became this journey. And this this journey led me to the thought of, well, I can't be the only one.
Mm.
Like, I am going through this. I want to heal. I don't know how to begin. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I can't possibly be the only one who is struggling with this. And that's when I came to the niche of healing through creation. The
Mm.
idea that I could make videos about art, but this art resembled more than just making a painting. It resembled my own struggles and my own journey to, yeah, I definitely would say that a painting for me looks very much like the phases in my life.
Mm.
I go through, I start with, oh, I have this idea, I'm super excited. Then I'm about to begin and I see the blank page and all these detrimental, idiotic thoughts about myself show up and I freeze, I can't do anything and I just feel horrible. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing with my life? And then I start sketching a little bit and I'm like, oh my God, this looks so bad, but I keep sketching anyway. And it's like,
Yeah.
and it in my life, it would look like something from, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to treat myself a little bit better today. Today I'm gonna be kind to myself, but I don't actually know how to be kind to myself. And so
Mm.
I get all these negative thoughts, but I'm stubborn, so I want to be kind to it's this, all of this translates,
Yes.
into each other. And I feel like my art really resembles the struggle I'm having in my
Yeah,
everyday life.
absolutely.
But long story short, it was this way I came to the phrase healing through creation, that I want to heal myself through the things that I love the most. And yes,
Mm.
I love a lot of things, and I'm not going to put myself in a box of, I'm just going to be doing art tutorials here, because that is just not me and I can't do it. But I
Yeah,
am going
I love that. I love that you said that.
to.
Because everyone's like, "Why don't you teach? Why don't you do?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"I
yeah,
really,
yeah.
really
No,
learn."
I want to
I don't
create
know.
art. I want to be the
I
artist.
don't want a teacher. I really don't.
But like having wonderful creative conversations, yes, by all means, I love it. Yeah, this whole healing through creation thing. I was just telling myself I don't have the energy to go and comment on a gazillion videos. If this YouTube thing is going to take me forever, then so be it. The most important thing is that the people who do show up, they find meaning in it, they feel a connection. I can be there for them, and they excite me. And it's just that this YouTube thing actually becomes a fulfilling path to be on. That was the goal ultimately, what I came to. And it's now almost a year ago, I think, since I started the healing journey thing, and it's going. It's not going fast, but it's going. And I met so many wonderful people, and I'm so grateful for. It's funny how you go through so many things in life and it always makes sense. Like I have so many moments where I'm like, oh, I went through this to come to this point because now it comes to a conclusion and this is what it's meant to be. And then I go to the next thing and it all just comes together and like, oh yeah, that happened because I need to be here right now. I just find that really special.
It's true. It's so true, isn't it? And until you'd said that, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'd seen the last kind of, since COVID, I felt like my life's kind of just been this one big long year or something. It's felt really odd, probably because there's nothing remarkable that's happened in that time. It's only just now I feel like life's like I'm coming back to more normal or something. So it feels like there's 4 years of I wouldn't say nothingness, but
but kind of
it's
like
weird. I'm like, wow, where did that time go? And so yeah, it's true what you're saying.
You come to this these conclusions, these profound moments where you're looking back and you're like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
And I find that I've noticed that it has happened to me so often that I'm starting to look out for it. And when I'm in hard situations now, I am already thinking like, okay, I don't know if you're spiritual, if you believe in God, or I always say that I believe in God, but I don't have a religion. So I believe in the creator, I believe in the universe, and it brings me a whole lot of comfort. It has brought me a lot of comfort throughout my entire life, but I'm not like putting my belief into anything
specific,
hard and fast. I like to keep it open and spiritual. Because in the end, I don't really know anything. You get what I mean.
Yeah.
But like I've come to these points where if I'm stuck and things are really hard, I'm already thinking, okay, well, in a couple of months or maybe even in 5 years, I will look back at this moment and I will have this epiphany of, okay, this happened for this reason. And some may call it like, that is not how life works and, blah, blah. That's fine. But I like to think it gives me comfort and it makes sense to me. So,
yeah. There's a synchronicity to things, I think. And
definitely.
As we look back over things, and I've heard artists say it even when they create a painting, that sometimes when, you feel drawn to certain colors or certain imagery and it's not until you're maybe storytelling that art later or looking into, I know I love colors and like what the meaning of a particular color is or a spirit animal or something like that. It's like, oh, wow, that was quite symbolic at the time of whatever you're going through.
Yeah. And it's like your subconscious is doing that because you aren't thinking about why you're doing it right now. Then you can look back at it and like, oh, this spirit animal, this color, it resonates so much with that time I was going through, and it's a whole beautiful circle. Yeah.
And it makes it feel more meaningful, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm similar to you, Frederike, I think, with spirituality. I mean, I grew up in a very Christian home and I left that 7 to 10 years ago now. But yeah, I'm very much the same. I think that, it's lovely to think there's that creator and that universe and that there's something more, but I don't belong to a particular religion or something like that. But I love that there's something more.
Yeah.
And ever since I was young, I've liked, like I pray in my head to something, but it's not, it's probably changed over time.
I used to pray, but I also now the last couple of years I very specifically write a journal to God. So I just write dear God, and then in the mornings I write my thoughts and my feelings, and God knows who God is. But but
it's beautiful too.
I just connect to something outside of myself because I do believe that there is something much bigger than all of this. But that's my personal belief. So
yeah, absolutely. I know recently I've been doing qigong, which is like breath work. It's kind of like Tai Chi, and I've found that so good for my anxiety. And that
really? I need to check that out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Yeah,
But
yeah, do that, please do.
I've just that because I have to breathe and do the movements. I can't like
Right.
be overthinking as well.
Yeah.
And the one I signed up to, yeah, he's got so many. He goes through the history of qigong and all these different
Mhm.
things of, and so I'm learning, and it's all
Yeah.
it's exciting as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to know more about it. So just send me that link so I
Yeah,
can
yeah, I
check it out.
will.
Yeah.
I
I'm really
will.
like interested into breath work and stuff like that too,
Mm.
specifically for the anxiety part. It's really helpful to
Yeah,
actually take physical action to calm yourself down.
yeah. Have you found things like meditation and that helpful?
Yes, I do like meditation. The problem is that I'm not. It's one of those things again where I'm talking about, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it
Yeah,
later.
absolutely. Yeah.
And it's annoying. So I am working on my own discipline because I know that I'm avoiding a lot of things that would do me good.
Yeah.
And so basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of putting not a stop, but I'm slowing down my own healing process because there's
Mm.
certain things I'm avoiding, and I
Mm.
know that.
Why do you think we do that? Because I do that too still. I avoid the things I know are good for me,
Mhm.
what you said. And it's
Yeah,
like I know that if I did those things each day or and I give myself
yeah,
the excuse, oh, I'm busy or I'm,
yeah.
but I could fit it in if I really wanted.
Yeah, but I think I'm not sure how it is for you, but I think that because I think we are mentally tired, and things that take mental effort, and when I say mental effort, it's like doing something that you know is a little bit hard. It
Mm,
takes a lot of energy, and when you've lived your entire life or long periods of your life in this fight or flight, this trauma
mm,
mode, or this, you are just tired, and you know you should put in the work, but like you just want to keep going because it's too much. It's too, yeah, too much to
mm.
handle, kind of. And it's funny how we still manage to do everyday life stuff, things that need to be done that we can do, but it doesn't require a lot of thought effort. It just goes on autopilot, so we just do
Yeah,
it.
true. We're used to doing that. It's very
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
yeah. So it goes, but as soon as we need to do something that kind of splits our usual schedule, or we have to get ourselves to do something, it's
Mm,
it's difficult because we're tired. It's not because we're
yeah.
lazy. I always thought I was
No,
lazy,
yeah.
but I am really walking away from that thought now. I'm not lazy. I'm tired. I try now at the end of the day, I was did I do my best today? And
Mm,
my best is very different. One day, my best is okay, I cooked dinner and it was healthy, and that's the only thing I could manage. But yes, I did my best today because that was the only thing I could do. Another best could be like painting on a piece of furniture, finishing another painting, talking to this person, doing this and that was my best that day.
mm.
But I'm just trying to say that okay, my best can vary very much, that very, very, very much.
Yeah.
But as soon as I like have it in the back of my mind that yeah, I do want to do my best. And so I think that as you, like you said, as you go along and you work with your OCD and the things that you now realize are still in the back of your mind, and you are conscious about them, and you take deliberate action. If you like meditation, it will arrive into your life at the right time. I
Mm,
believe that because you are working with yourself. And so
mm,
when you feel ready, it will be there. And when you start, it will be wonderful. And
mm.
so I'm really trying to let go of that. Oh, I need to implement this and I need to do that. And no, it's not working. It's just as long as I do my best, whatever that looks like, these things will
Yeah.
naturally enter my life at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I had a saying for myself that because we'd always had like the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah. Oh,
like that
yeah.
fear, like I should be doing that, and now I
Yeah.
have the I call it
Yeah.
JOMO, like the joy of missing out. Because I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's a good thing I miss out on some things.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, that you feel joy for missing out because it means that you're doing something that is actually more meaningful
Yeah, because
meaningful
to
to
say
you.
yes to something, I have to say no to something. So
Yeah,
it's
and that is
I
that is
can't
good.
do it all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is such a good point too. We can't we
Yeah,
can't do it all. Like I can especially imagine like you were on this beautiful creative journey for yourself, but you have also three kids to take care of and homeschool them.
yeah.
And it's a lot. It's yeah, I can imagine. And I am like, oh my goodness, how do you do it all? Like I have two
I don't
puppies.
know
It's
sometimes.
too much.
I'm
Yeah,
still figuring it out.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure
Uh,
you're doing a wonderful job. So.
I have a wonderful partner too, so
Oh, that helps.
that
That
helps.
that
Yeah,
definitely helps.
it
Yeah,
really
that's
does.
nice.
was going to say to you, Frederike, something that came up before in my mind when I was working with a therapist. Have you heard of the zappy puppies?
No.
There was an experiment done, and I can't remember
Yeah.
the name of it, where it's pretty mean actually, but
Oh, okay. Yeah.
where they had a group of puppies that they split into two,
Yeah.
and a group of like one of the groups of puppies they put on a floor, and every so often they would send an electric shock through the floor. And
No.
yeah, I know it's
Yeah,
really
that's
horrible.
so fun. Yeah.
And it would zap them, and they got used to that. And there was another group that they didn't have that. And anyway, they ended up merging the puppies back together, and they had half of the floor that was electrified, and there was the other half that wasn't. And the puppies that had been used to being zapped didn't move to the side where they weren't getting zapped. They stayed on the side where they would get zapped because they were used to that. It was sort of proving that we get comfortable and we learn certain patterns in our brain. And I always found that quite amazing, because it made me realize that sometimes if we've had something for so long, it can take a while and a lot of, like you said, conscious effort, which makes you tired, to learn a new habit and to carve that new river or that new pathway in the brain. So it's
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know why I always think of zappy puppies when things feel
that was a really good point, and it painted a really good picture, because I think, like, from the day we're born, we live this life that is shaped for us.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really control it, especially as children. Something that is upsetting to me still is how little we, at a young age at school, are taught things to mentally strengthen us or emotionally strengthen us. It's like we're thrown into school, we have to learn the curriculum and, like, evolve academically, but we're not taught to evolve humanly.
Yes,
like, as humans.
Emotionally and mentally, we're not prepared. Yeah.
Exactly. So many people, they get these mental health struggles from a young age, and nobody is there to tell them that this is wrong or you're having issues with it, because, well, people can find a therapist and you can get help and all that, but there's also an immense, especially here or in Norway, there's a huge lack. Like, there are too many people who need a therapist. There are too many people who need help. There aren't any. I remember what a pain in the butt it was for my parents to get me hospitalized for my eating disorder, because there were so many people on these waiting lists. And that's really upsetting, first of all, but also I think what if we, from a young age, we're actually taught to respect ourselves, love ourselves, respect others, becoming emotionally stronger, mentally stronger, these kind of things, these things that you actually need to survive as an adult. Why aren't we being taught this from a young age? But anyway, you take all this stuff that you go through as a child, as a teenager, young adult, you take it with you. And unless you come to a very deliberate conclusion that, oh, my brain is wrongly rewired, all these things I've experienced and felt, there is something horrifically wrong with that. If you don't come to that conclusion, you keep on staying on the zappy pad or the zippy
on the zappy floor, thinking it's normal, because that's what you used to.
And you miss out on the entire life of what it could have been. Like, I know it's sad, because you shouldn't say it could have been this or it should have been that. That's not helpful at all. But it makes me truly sad to see how many people miss out on their own lives because they never get the help or come to this epiphany of, okay, I've been fed lies as a child, or the things I've gone through were wrong, or this pain that I'm feeling, it's for a reason, and I'm allowed to feel it, and I should process it, and I should heal from it. No, people just carry it with them.
Yeah, or like you said, you carried yours for so many years, and that even having that supportive family and that.
There's nothing wrong with the people in my life. Absolutely not. I love them to death.
Same.
Yeah, it's nothing about them, but still, that doesn't mean, like, we are, definitely
the way we perceive the world and the way we went through it. That's just how that came about.
Yeah, and I think what I found really wonderfully is that you're saying you're homeschooling your kids. Can I ask you what decision made you to do that?
Because my eldest, when he was in grade 1, he was getting bullied, and he's really sensitive.
Yeah.
And when I went to the school to talk to them, they pretty much told me to go see a counsellor. So they put it back on to me that there was nothing wrong, but there was something seriously wrong with what was happening.
Obviously. Yeah.
I was scared to homeschool, but I went, well, this just isn't working. I guess we can find another school later. And as soon as we made the choice, and I said to Xander, we can homeschool for a year. Let's
Mhm.
try it. He changed overnight
Yeah.
because I think mentally
Oh, that's
he
beautiful.
felt like he could be free of what was happening every day because he's
Yeah.
only like 5 at the time, so
Yeah.
little.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And
And
imagine that, like, all these people you are exposed to in these environments you are exposed to at that
mm,
age, and you spend more time outside doing things at school, at activities, than you spend with your parents who are supposed to raise you,
yeah,
and that's a bit of a scary thought. And
yeah.
I
But
find
he
it
but he
absolutely
he had
amazing.
another kid saying to him, he said, I'm going to chop off your head and stab your heart through your neck and things like this because this
What?
kid,
What? What on
yeah,
earth?
I know it
What?
came out later.
How can it? Oh
And I
my
don't even know
goodness!
because they were all the same age. I'm like, how does a 5-year-old say those things?
5 years old, and oh wow, that's really observing.
That was a whole story that came out later.
Yeah.
But I used to say to him things like, oh, what was the best part of your day? And he'd say, oh, you coming to pick me up.
Oh, well,
So,
I find it amazing and inspiring to just hear that you as a mom, you took back the control, like you were deciding that you don't want this kid to be in this situation. You're bringing him home, and we'll find another way. I find that absolutely beautiful. I
oh,
find that so
thank you, Frederike.
inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think on that journey, because we've done it for like 10 years now, I think,
Yeah.
he changed so much. Like
Yeah.
he changed at school, and I saw that he went from this sensitive boy to he was curled up in the fetal position in his pajamas, and we'd have to
Oh,
drag him to school. Went, okay,
poor
this
baby.
isn't good. To just his normal happy self again. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and we've always given them the option to go to school or not, and they've always
Yeah.
chosen to homeschool, so they must
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, seems like. But I think also, like, it creates an environment for the kid to develop themselves the way who they kind of truly
Yeah,
are, because you give them the freedom to just be themselves, and when you can be
yeah,
yourself from an early age, it's just a very good
yeah.
prognosis for the
And I
future.
think that's probably the biggest benefit is that they're all quirky kids. They've got your personalities, and they
Yeah,
definitely haven't lost that. They've probably strengthened that.
definitely. I truly
And
believe that.
even today, my daughter, we were at the chemist, and she took a picture of there was all these bottles all these blue lid bottles
Yeah.
like a rack, and there was one
Yeah.
red one, and she took a picture of it and sent it to my husband, and she said,
Uh-huh.
"I'm the red one."
Oh,
And she's
my
like, saying I'm different, but she's like, oh,
God.
in a really good way. She's like, I
Okay.
love that
I was
I'm
just say
different.
that. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love when people can say, like, that they know they are different and maybe a little quirky and weird, but they embrace it, because that's who
Yeah,
they are. And when we can just step up and take that, yeah, we take that place because it's for us. It's just amazing.
yeah.
I love it. I love it so much.
I remember when
Really proud of.
really little. She must have been about 2. She was looking in the mirror, and I was
Mhm.
just curious. I'm like, what are you thinking when you look at yourself in the mirror?
Yeah.
And I remember her saying, that I'm cute,
Oh,
but a little bit bad. So,
that guy. Oh my goodness, that's adorable. That is so adorable. I
I
love
And I think that she's
that.
always known herself really well, but she's like sassy, and she is a
Yeah.
little bit kind of naughty, I guess.
Yeah.
But she's
But she
really
still has
sweet
to
and
be.
kind, and
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Like sassy, a little bad, a little cute. Oh,
yeah.
it's a nice combination.
Oh.
That is so sweet.
So they're fun, and we enjoy homeschooling. So
Yeah.
I think I've probably learned more than the kids about myself.
Yeah. I can't imagine. It's also good for your brain.
And yeah, learning to juggle.
Yeah, yeah, especially that. Especially
Mm.
that. Hmm.
So any future plans for your art and channel and all that, Frederic?
I guess I have them, but I'm also, I have very specific art pieces planned, like pieces I
Yeah,
want to create, definitely. And of course, I'd like to grow my YouTube channel to the point where maybe one day I can live more off of that than my welfare,
yeah.
because yes, I live on welfare now and I needed to stay on my feet, but I would like to support myself instead and become an independent woman one day, that would
Yep,
be
yep.
nice. but I'm also like, I just put it out there. I put my hopes and my dreams out into the
Mm.
universe, and I will let whatever happens. I will do my best first and foremost, and main priority is having fun, finding lovely people, encouraging people to do what they love, so that they can spread more of that positive energy into the world. And see that if I just have that approach of prioritizing joy, being my best self, and healing and people, I
Mm.
suppose I will be led to the right places at the right time. That's kind of the approach I have right now. And
Yeah.
then let's see if it works.
I
You
think
know?
that's lovely. And I wish that for you too
Well, thank you. I wish
as
absolutely the
well.
same for you. Yeah. Can I
Yeah.
ask you what is like? What are your? Do you have hopes, dreams, goals, art goals, anything like where you want to go,
Yeah.
or what's your thoughts about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I feel that I have a habit of starting and not finishing things.
Ah, right. Yeah.
So I have some things I'd like to finish, and by that I mean in the way of like I've signed up to some courses and that I'd like to work through and finish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you, I would love to invest myself more in those things that bring me joy
Yeah.
and fusing those.
Yeah.
And so instead of feeling like I've just got to do art or I've just got to do,
Yeah. Exactly.
writing or I've just got
Yeah.
to do silversmithing or something like that, that I
I
can,
want to combine all of it.
I know that I can
Yeah.
somehow do all of them.
Yeah, yeah. But I have all faith in you that you can and you will.
Yeah,
And if you want to do it, go do it. Like, don't
yeah,
think about the niches or the people or the success. Or the most important part for us is just to find joy in this life. And because it needs to be balanced out, we know that
absolutely.
the pain is there too, and we need to balance it out somehow.
Yeah.
And that is by really prioritizing and allowing ourselves to do what we love.
I think that's true. There is a writer on Instagram. I don't know if you've heard of her, Amy McNee.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she had one like she does the writing, and she had one the other day, and I think it was fuck the niche or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I love that. I love
I
that.
was like, yeah, that's
Perfect.
really
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Like, really, just, yeah, I don't swear, but like, frick it all, and then just
yeah,
do your
yeah. I
thing.
don't usually either, but I did like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's like a really like strong statement of just, yeah, just let it go and
Mm,
just do
mm.
things that you love. Don't care
Yeah,
about
and
anybody.
that who says that by putting yourself out there and all of you,
Mhm.
that and all the things you do, that people will meet you where you're at, as
Yeah.
I'm sure you've found.
Yeah. I had this beautiful analogy from a friend that she shared a couple of years back, and she explained like visualize self as a person in a boat on a big river. We're all sitting in these boats and we're all
Mm,
floating around, in one stream, like one direction, because we go from a young age and then we grow older. But and as we follow this stream, boats will connect. We will meet
mm,
people, we will talk to them, and then they will disconnect and they might float a little more ahead, or you might float a little bit ahead. And it's all this flow. Life is a flow
mm.
where we connect and disconnect and always find our ways back to each other if we're meant to, but we're all on this river, we're all on these boats,
Yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it?
kind of riding the waves of life.
Mm.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's just something that
Yeah,
stuck
I
with
like
me.
that visual actually, because that
Yeah.
helps too when you feel like you were saying before that you feel behind sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel that too because with choosing to homeschool, I think that's meant, as well as my mental struggles, it's meant that I do feel behind with
Yeah.
art, and I feel like I
Yeah.
should be more successful or I should be more productive or whatever
Yeah.
that is when I compare myself to others who have been
Yeah. The
doing it for a
comparing
similar
part.
time.
Yeah. But it's like
And
it's yeah, like with the boats, it's really freeing to think like we're all on our individual journeys, and there is no.
we're going to go where we need to go.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. We're going to go where we need to go. We're going to connect to the people that we're going to connect to. And also,
yeah.
I think that as soon as we can accept that we are exactly where we need to be, we're not behind, we are not in front of others. It's not, we're all individual beings and we have all individual lives. And yes, we can compare, but at the same time, we really can't because nobody lives
Mm.
the same. So it's just not a concept that even should exist, if you know
Yes,
what I
it's
mean.
so true. It's so
Yeah,
true.
because yeah,
It really,
so yeah. So
yeah.
I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying. There are many things that I'm trying and I'm working with, but I'm talking from a place of things that I feel like I know and wisdom that I use for myself, but that doesn't mean I'm
Mm.
equally good every day at implementing it into my life.
Yeah.
But, as long as it's there and I visit these thoughts now and then every day, then it keeps me on track. And I'm just trying to accept where I am. If I do that, then I can open up so many possibilities for the future. And I like that thought.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that is about that. It is about, your possibilities of where you're at. That's
Yeah,
kind of, that feels rich to me and
yeah.
feels like, yeah.
And meaningful. It just,
Mm,
definitely.
yeah, just by putting ourselves there and into
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Just we are there, and that way we will, like, the frequencies that we spread and give out are the frequencies that come back to us. Now people can't see
Yeah.
that, but I'm dancing with my arms.
Dancing's always good, Frederike.
Yeah.
So probably in finishing up, Frederike, any advice for living a fulfilling life and following your dreams?
Oh, wow. That's like a really spot on question. I guess I can give advice based on who I am. But again, we're unique. So, yeah. But I think it's easier for me if I just want to give advice to myself, and then I can hope that it resonates with others. I personally would no longer compromise who I am for my environment and the people. I don't have the mental strength to deal with people who don't really resonate with me. And I know that if I put myself out there in a way that isn't really me, I will attract people that don't actually belong in my life or whom I can connect with. And that would just cause, an exhausting conundrum of stuff. So I'm trying to approach my life. I'm just going to be the one I'm talking, the person who's talking to you today, the person talking in the live streams, in the videos. Yes, it is, of course, video, and it's well, this is live, but you're not talking to me in person. But I try to have the approach like I'm going to be as much as I can who I am, because I need to connect to the people who can resonate with that, and I don't want to spend time on people who aren't aligning with it. So yeah, cliche, just being myself, just being myself, and most of all, allowing myself to prioritize the things that I love doing, because that is what brings me purpose. That is what brings my life meaning. And if I am not here to live a meaningful life, then what is the purpose of living at all? That sounds very dramatic, but I guess I've come to that point. Yeah, prioritizing the things that I love. It's important.
Yeah.
If I'm a happy, loving human being, then I can spread this love and happiness to others, and that is the end goal.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that comes across from you really well. When I asked you to be on the podcast, I thought, listening to your YouTube channel and that, I felt like when we chatted that you would be you, like,
yeah.
and you are like this.
Like this horrible, I don't know, kind of person. So.
that there isn't a facade or a I think a lot of the time we can get a fakeness or something like that with some things, but that you're really genuine, and I love that. So
oh, well, thank you. I'm happy you feel that way.
Thank you for sharing you.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing you, because I feel like you are also, like, from what I see and from what I hear, you seem pretty relaxed, and that's what makes me relax. If you were to sit there and being stiff and feeling awkward, I wouldn't sit here laughing and being comfortable at all.
No,
I was waiting to run away and turn this whole thing off, but no, I've had the absolute loveliest time talking to you, and I feel really energized and I feel really happy, and that's everything.
It's been a pleasure. So, and thank you so much. And we will pop your YouTube channel and everything in the show notes. So,
thank you. That's really great.
Thank you for joining us on the Trailblazers Palette podcast. We appreciate your support. Don't forget to subscribe and share if you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations with incredible guests. Keep blazing your trail, and until next time, stay inspired. This is Sancha, your host, signing off. See you soon, Trailblazers.